Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go my review of WWE's Wrestlepalooza. And trust me when I say this, man, there is a lot to say about this debut event for ESPN. Starting off tonight, we have an intro video that was played that I thought actually was awesome. I love the way they put it together. Obviously, you have Hunter, pretty much talking through the intro video. It was showing a lot of classic things from WWE, from Mean Gene Okerlund and the interviews that he's had, a lot of sports things, obviously with them working with ESPN and the sporting moments from ESPN. It also showed some classic matches, classic moments. We saw the likes of Andre, we saw Hogan, hell, we even saw Vince McMahon in some of the intro video as well. Some of the history, if you will, of professional wrestling, especially when it pertains to ESPN. I thought the video package, the intro, was great. I thought it was put together very well. I think WWE does have a tendency to put on these video intros, if you will, that really showcases what they bring to the table and showcases what professional wrestling is to a lot of other people, and maybe people that are not really familiar with pro wrestling, man. So I thought it was really put together very well. I thought, and not for nothing, I think they even did something for WWE and Netflix when they made their Netflix debut as well. So the video packages are always put together very well. So I thought this one was on the same boat. I thought this was really put together very well. The first match we get into, though, it is Brock Lesnar taking on John Cena. This was definitely a high-profile matchup leading into Wrestlepalooza. A lot of people were anticipating this matchup. This was Brock Lesnar's return match, if you will, since he's returned back to WWE. Taking on John Cena. The interesting thing I would also say is that usually they have, big-time matches, they have introductions. John Cena got his normal introduction from the ring announcer, but Brock Lesnar was introduced to the crowd from none other than Paul Heyman. This pretty much, got a huge pop from the crowd. I thought it was a good moment between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Obviously, there's a lot of history there between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. The match itself, though, I thought was an okay match at best. It was a back-and-forth matchup with Lesnar pretty much keeping the pace throughout the entire match. Lesnar hits a power slam on John Cena in the middle of the ring, followed by Lesnar pretty much taking John Cena to Suplex City. John tries to fight back by hitting 3 AAs on Lesnar for a near fall. John then goes for a 5-knuckle shuffle in the middle of the ring on Lesnar, but Lesnar counters it into an F5, followed by Lesnar hitting multiple F5s on John Cena in the middle of the ring, finally pins Cena for the 3, and your winner of the match is Brock Lesnar. After the match, you can see Lesnar hitting another F5 on the referee, followed by Lesnar hitting another F5 on John Cena. A couple of things I want to talk to you guys about this matchup, man. To be honest with you, there was a lot, and I mean a lot of people that were legitimately pissed off the way this match had ended and how this match went about. This was a 10-minute glorified squash match to have Lesnar come in and just demolish John Cena. Now, the thing that really pissed me off with this was that, obviously this was Lesnar's return match. Like I mentioned earlier, this was a very high-profile matchup leading into this year's Wrestlepalooza. And it's a big-time event. This was also WWE's debut PLE for ESPN, the new partnership that WWE has with ESPN. A lot of people were expecting a lot out of this matchup, myself included. I did not see or think that Lesnar was going to come in and pretty much beat the hell out of John in a glorified squash match in 10 minutes. There's multiple issues with this. Number one, like I told you guys before, this matchup leading into it, there was nothing really from Brock Lesnar as far as a rebuttal was concerned on why he had targeted John Cena in Cena's retirement farewell tour. There was no rebuttal from Lesnar. There was really no rebuttal from John Cena on why, his thoughts on why the hell he thought that Brock Lesnar had attacked him. Lesnar showed up on SmackDown, and he has a back-and-forth banter between himself and R-Truth that led to nothing. So the build-up towards this matchup just wasn't there. There was no storyline for this matchup. There was no back-and-forth. There was no reason why Lesnar had came back to WWE and had a target on John Cena's back and ultimately targeted John Cena with an F5. We don't know why Lesnar attacked John. And to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to get a reason why at all Lesnar had attacked John Cena. If you guys go back in time, not too long ago, we saw Brock Lesnar attack Cody Rhodes with no rebuttal, no story at all. So I don't know if they're even going to contemplate running that back or giving us a reason why that Lesnar had attacked Cody Rhodes. This is a company, man, after seeing this matchup, this is a company that's all about the money. And I will go into more detail about this and how I think about how Wrestlepalooza ended up being showcased on ESPN, because there was actually more shit that came out about this today when it pertains to how ESPN felt about Wrestlepalooza being showcased on their streaming service, if you will. So I will get into more detail about that, because I can tell you right now, a lot of folks and fans were not happy about how Wrestlepalooza was presented to the fans. But again, this matchup between Lesnar and Cena, man, was I too keen on it? No, I was not. You know, I wasn't really happy or thrilled with the return of Brock Lesnar. I know some people were up in arms about it. You know, to me, honestly, I'm not too keen on him returning. I know there's a lot of shit going on behind closed doors with WWE. It's still going on. I think it was too quick to bring Lesnar back. I know why they brought him back. Obviously, it's a money move for WWE. But, you know, this matchup right here, man, I don't know where it leaves Lesnar. And to be honest, I don't know where this leaves John. I don't know if they're going to run this shit back at Crown Jewel in a couple weeks. I don't know. I have no idea, but I really wasn't thrilled with this matchup between Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Moving on from that, we have a tag team matchup with special guest referee that was announced earlier tonight, LA Knight. We have the Usos taking on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. The match itself, I thought, was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker keeping the pace of the match. LA Knight then lets Jimmy use a chair in this matchup. Reed then hits Jimmy with a chair. I guess LA Knight gives them both the okay to use chairs in this matchup. Breaker then lands an avalanche bulldog on Jimmy, followed by Breaker hitting a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Breaker then hits a spear on Jimmy Uso in the middle of the ring, followed by Jay hitting a spear of his own on Braun Breaker. Jay then hits an Uso splash off the top rope for a near fall. Jay then goes to hit Breaker with a chair, almost hits LA Knight. Breaker then capitalizes on this by hitting a spear on Jay. Breaker then hits a spear on the Usos through a table that was pretty much pinned up against the turnbuckle. Reed then follows up by hitting a tsunami on Jey Uso, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Hats off to Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a women's world title match. This title was vacated due to Naomi and her announcement of her and Jimmy starting a family, so the belt was vacated. This is Io Sky taking on Stephanie Vacure for the vacant Women's World Championship. I thought the match was a really good match. Honestly, probably match of the night. Back and forth matchup between Io and Stephanie, with Io keeping the pace of the match. Io and Stephanie both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Stephanie hitting a devil's kiss on Io Sky in the middle of the ring. Io then gets up, hits an avalanche Spanish fly off the top rope on Stephanie for a near fall. But Stephanie ends up hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and new Women's World Champion is Stephanie Vacure. Hats off to Stephanie for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a mixed tag team matchup. It is AJ Lee making her in-ring debut, teaming up with CM Punk to take on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I thought it was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup between both teams, with AJ Lee and CM Punk keeping the pace of the match. Punk hits a GTS on Rollins in the middle of the ring, followed by AJ Lee smacking Rollins. Lee then applies a Black Widow in the middle of the ring. Punk then applies a sharpshooter on Rollins. Hold is broken. Lee then applies a Black Widow on Seth Rollins, but the hold is quickly broken. Becky then hits a manhandle slam on AJ Lee. Rollins and Becky then hit pedigrees on Lee and Punk in the middle of the ring. Lee then hits an exploder suplex on Becky Lynch, followed by Punk hitting a foot stomp on Rollins. Becky Lynch then applies a sharpshooter on CM Punk, but the hold is broken. Punk then applies a sharpshooter on Becky. Rollins then hits a foot stomp on CM Punk in the middle of the ring. AJ Lee then hits a foot stomp of her own, taking out Seth Rollins. Becky Lynch, though, hits a manhandle slam on AJ Lee. Punk and Rollins then both exchange in the middle of the ring. After that, Lee and Becky then both exchange in the middle of the ring as well. Becky then goes for a manhandle slam, but Lee counters it with a Black Widow. Referee sounds for the bell, and your winners of the match are AJ Lee and CM Punk. Hats off to AJ Lee and CM Punk for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have an appearance from The Undertaker. The Undertaker comes out to the ring. He spots Stephanie McMahon sitting in the crowd. Undertaker then sits next to Stephanie. He has a microphone in hand. He asks Stephanie if she is ready. Stephanie looks confused, but then Undertaker announces that it will be, in fact, that Stephanie McMahon will be the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2020. 2026. You can obviously see Stephanie trying to hold back the tears and how excited she was to be the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame for 2026. Moving on from that, we go into our main event of Wrestlepalooza. It is Cody Rhodes defending the Universal Championship against Drew McIntyre. I thought it was an okay match. Back and forth matchup between McIntyre and Rhodes, with Rhodes keeping the pace of the match. McIntyre tries to do whatever he can to fight back during the match, but Rhodes ultimately hits a crossroads on McIntyre, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and still Universal Champion, is Cody Rhodes. Hats off to Cody Rhodes for getting the win in this matchup. A couple of things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Wrestlepalooza. You know, I mentioned this earlier in the show, man. You know, obviously there was a lot of people that were pissed off about Wrestlepalooza for multiple different angles. Number one being the fact that there were some people, and honestly, for what it's worth, I'm not one of those people that are in that camp where they had to pay the $29.99 a month to watch this PLE. I was fortunate enough to actually not have to pay the $30 a month to watch this PLE. But I can understand people's frustration for those who had to unfortunately purchase the $30 a month to watch this PLE. This PLE was lackluster, man. Absolutely lackluster. I mean, from the storylines to the matches, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, man, the first match we got was a highly profiled matchup between Brock Lesnar and John Cena. And it was a glorified 10-minute fucking squash match that Lesnar had against John Cena. You know, Cena comes out to the arena. There's a bunch of fans. He even had a bunch of kids come out to the ring with him and celebrate John Cena, just to have Cena get his ass whipped in front of all these fans in 10 minutes. They brought Lesnar in, and again, I'm not taking anything away from Lesnar in the aspect that the guy's built like a brick shithouse. I mean, Lesnar looked absolutely incredible. He did. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but he looks like he's 20 years old again in the middle of this ring. And he looks like he hasn't lost a beat, considering the fact that he's been gone for quite some time in WWE. I mean, he has not lost a beat. The guy's built like a brick shithouse. And he comes into this match, I mean, and he just beats the ever-living hell out of John Cena. 10-minute squash match in what is John Cena's farewell tour. And a lot of people, I mean, myself included, bro, I mean, a lot of people were kind of frustrated with the build-up towards this match. There really wasn't a lot of build. We saw Lesnar come out, you know, destroy John Cena. This sets up a matchup between John and Lesnar at Wrestlepalooza. There was really no, you know, rebuttal from Lesnar on why he even went out of his way to attack John Cena. He just came back and beat the shit out of John, and then we get a matchup at Wrestlepalooza. I'm going to be honest with you guys, man, and this might be a hot take for a lot of people, but this, bringing Brock Lesnar back in the match they made for this Wrestlepalooza event, this was WWE's money move, to bring Brock in, to grant them more money, to bring in someone like Brock Lesnar. This was a money grab for WWE. And it's a bad move, to be honest with you. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, let the story play out. Paul Heyman is going to realign himself up with Brock Lesnar. Lesnar might align himself up with the Vision. We don't know how this is going to play out. We really don't. Was it cool to see Paul Heyman introduce Brock Lesnar one more time? Absolutely. There's a lot of history there and backstory between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. I mean, hell, Heyman has been with Lesnar since his WWE debut, practically. So, yeah, obviously there's a lot of history between both Lesnar and Paul Heyman. And it was cool to see Heyman introduce Lesnar again for one of his matches. My question is, with this match specifically, is where does this leave Brock Lesnar and where the hell does this leave John Cena? Are we going to run this shit back one more time at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia? Is this something that they're going to entertain the idea of having this match back? Because I can tell you right now, I would be very surprised if we see, I don't even think we'll see John Cena on Raw and SmackDown at all after this. I mean, he's got a very, very limited dates left in WWE before he rides off into the sunset and his farewell tour is over. So they're going to be very, very selective on when they're going to use John in the remaining dates that he has until he rides off into the fucking sunset. So I don't know how this is going to play out between John and Lesnar, to be honest with you. And honestly, for what it's worth, I don't really know what's next for John. You know, like I said, John only has a few selective dates left. You know, they brought back Brock. Brock obviously, you know, targeted John Cena, and then we get this matchup at WrestlePalooza that ultimately flopped. So I don't know what's going to be next for John. And like I said, with this matchup between Lesnar and Cena, I mean, it ended very badly, to a point where a lot of people were A, shocked, and B, legitimately pissed off the way the match had ended, myself included. This was, I mean, Brock destroyed John. I mean, he beat the piss out of John Cena. So I don't know where this leaves John. I really don't. Lesnar, I mean, yeah, maybe he can align himself up with Paul Heyman. I don't know if he's going to incorporate himself into the vision. I don't know how that's going to really play out. But it is very interesting to see how this might work out between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar moving forward. If they actually build a fucking story that's compelling enough to get the fans invested in Brock Lesnar. Not only that, I think Paul Heyman is needed for Lesnar because Lesnar's fucking horrible on the goddamn microphone. So Lesnar needs a spokesperson to speak up for Lesnar. And what better way to do that than to reincorporate Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar? It just makes sense logically. I mean, these guys are pretty much an item at this point. I mean, the guys are always together. Like I said, Paul Heyman has been with Brock Lesnar since Lesnar pretty much debuted in WWE back in 2001 or 2002 or whenever the hell, early 2000s. So, I mean, Paul Heyman has pretty much been at the hip side of Brock Lesnar throughout his entire WWE run. So, bringing Paul Heyman back into the likes of Brock Lesnar and aligning them guys up, I can see that totally happening. Absolutely. But this match, I mean, it flopped, man. It really did flop. And honestly, for what it's worth, like I said, I don't know what's next for Lesnar and John. I mean, there's a very good possibility they may run this shit back at Crown Jewel, where Cena might get the win over Brock Lesnar. But I think at this point, after what we saw at Wrestlepalooza, honestly, what the fuck is the point to have John and Brock run it back again at Crown Jewel? The only reason they would run that shit back is because the people that are running the show and paying for the show in Saudi Arabia, they want to see that match in Saudi. That's the only reason why they would bring this match back, because it makes no fucking sense to bring it back. I mean, John lost clean. He got his ass beat from Brock Lesnar, so I don't see why they would run this back again a second time. What, just have John get a win over Brock Lesnar? I think you guys might be a day late and a dollar short on that shit. Stephanie Vacure and Io Sky, I thought it was probably the best in-ring match of the night. I was happy with the outcome, not taking anything away from Io Sky. I think Stephanie deserved the opportunity. I think they capitalized with her winning the title and capitalized on the opportunity for Stephanie. I think Stephanie has done great things since she's been in WWE. She's a household name. Fans are gravitated towards Steph. And there's a lot of matches on the table for Stephanie to have. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that are clamoring for a Stephanie versus Rhea Ripley match. I'm not against it. I know Rhea already had made it well known to both Io and Stephanie that whoever wins this match, she's coming after them and wants a women's world title match. So, again, we could possibly see this at Crown Jewel. Who knows? I don't know if they're going to do something where it might be champion versus champion. It might be Stephanie taking on Tiffany Stratton. So, again, I know Rhea is coming after that women's world championship. So, I'm not against a match of Stephanie and Rhea Ripley squaring off in the middle of the ring. I'm not. I thought it was a good match between Io and Stephanie. AJ Lee, CM Punk taking on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I thought, for what it's worth, it was a good match at best. It was decent. I didn't really expect a lot out of AJ Lee, considering the fact that she was gone for 10 years and this was her first in-ring match return that she had. I think she held her own in this matchup. Obviously, there's some ring rust there for her being gone, for a decade. But I thought it was a really good match for what, she brought to the table. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, I feel like it was more of a comedy act for them. But I think AJ Lee and CM Punk held their own. I look forward to see what happens next with AJ Lee. Obviously, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, I think, is far from over. A lot of people are also looking at what can happen leading up to this year's War Games at Survivor Series. CM Punk and Rollins might be incorporated in some kind of capacity in War Games. So, obviously, this is not over between Punk and Rollins. I think when it pertains to AJ Lee, I mean, I could see her possibly making an attempt to go after Becky Lynch again and for Becky's Women's Intercontinental Championship. I'm not against that at all either. I think Becky Lynch and AJ Lee are far from over in this storyline, and I'm all for it. And from what it seems, AJ Lee ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So she's also signed a multi-year contract with WWE. The other thing I want to talk about too, man, is this working relationship with ESPN and WWE. Right out of the gate, a lot of people had a lot of high anticipations for this event. I mean, it also didn't help with the fact that Triple H made announcements stating that there was going to be surprises and monumental moments and yada, yada, yada. And then we get to the event and it was lackluster. There was no surprises. There was no historic moments. It was very, very dull, to be honest with you. It was like a regular PLE, nothing new, nothing different. And for what it's worth, there was more excitement and moments when WWE debuted or Raw debuted on Netflix than what we got with WWE debuting and having their first PLE on ESPN. It was night and day. If we're comparing their debut on Netflix to their debut on ESPN, it was vastly different. Then we get to today, and there was news that broke this morning from ESPN that ESPN put a review out of what they thought of Wrestlepalooza, and they gave Wrestlepalooza a C at best. This sparked a lot of fans questioning what the hell was going on here. And what I mean by that is were the fans wrong in what they said about this event? Because a lot of fans didn't like Wrestlepalooza, myself included. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the worst PLE of all time, but the way they were hyping it up, it did not match anything close to how they were hyping this up. So when this ESPN thing came out today, it got a lot of people talking. A lot of people questioning what the hell is going on here with WWE and ESPN, and why did ESPN put this column out, if you will, given their grade of how Wrestlepalooza went with a C at best. You know, some fans were like, yeah, I agree. Some fans were pissed off. Some fans didn't understand it. Look, I'm going to be honest. I agree 100% with what ESPN put out in their little column on ESPN.com as far as what it pertains to Wrestlepalooza. Absolutely. And for what it's worth, for those fans out there that, you know, are pro WWE, you had to look at the narrative, man. ESPN spent a lot of money to acquire WWE and have them work with them and for them to put on their PLEs. And ESPN's not going to be fucking around. ESPN is not one of these streaming services that are going to be, oh, it's okay. No. They're going to be crucial when the time comes to be crucial. And right out of the gate, they came out with all guns blazing by giving them a C and even saying that the event was lackluster, that it was just a normal PLE. They even said that Cody Rhodes' match and Drew McIntyre was pretty much boring, according to the writer who wrote this column in ESPN, that it was lackluster, quote unquote. This got a lot of people talking. And when I read this column from ESPN and this grade they gave Wrestlepalooza, for one, the first thing I did, I laughed my ass off, man, to be honest with you. I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. The second thing I thought was, man, ESPN is not fucking around. And I like it. I do. Because at the end of the day, these streaming services that are acquiring these wrestling companies, whether it's AEW and HBO Max and Warner Brothers Discovery, or WWE with Netflix or HBO or ESPN, I was hoping that one of these companies would be crucial with one of these wrestling companies and let them know, hey man, you know, this ain't the hottest ticket in town. And what ESPN did by giving Wrestlepalooza this grade and saying that this show was lackluster was pretty much them slapping WWE in the fucking face and letting them know, hey bro, you either got to ship up or shape the fuck out. You know, we're not going to tolerate this shit. We gave you guys a lot of money to have your guys' PLEs a part of our ESPN brand, a brand that's been around for a very, very long time. And for them, right off rip, the day after this event goes out, or 2 days after this event goes out and puts this grade out, ESPN's not fucking around at all. They did not like the event. They said it was lackluster. It was a normal PLE. They were expecting a lot more, especially with the debut on ESPN, which they were let down, obviously, from this. So, obviously, the folks over at ESPN were not really thrilled with the debut, if you will, in a PLE on ESPN streaming service. They were not happy at all. At all. And for what it's worth, this should shake WWE and Tony and Triple H and Nick Khan's to their core. To realize, hey, bro, you guys need to fix this shit and figure this the fuck out. Honestly. Because everybody can see what ESPN gave the grade of Wrestlepalooza with that C. This wasn't even a B or an A or a C. This was a flat-out C. And to be honest with you, I don't fucking blame them. I told you guys that I thought that Wrestlepalooza was going to outdo All Out. Or at least be the talk of the wrestling weekend. And for what it's worth, they are. Not in a good way. In a very bad way. This show, Wrestlepalooza, fucking sucked. It sucked. And like I told you guys before, man, I am sorry for the fans that wanted to watch this event and had to spend the $30 a month to watch this PLE, because you guys got stiffed. I'm sorry. And that's just me being honest. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have to pay the $30 a month to watch this PLE, because it already came with my cable provider and who I, watched my cable from. It already came with the package that I have for ESPN and everything else like that in my cable provider. But For those people that had to pay the extra $30 a month to watch this PLE, man, you got 5 fucking matches that were lackluster. Number one. Number two, you were also paying $30 a month to watch this PLE with ads during the fucking pay-per-view. Every fucking match, either before or after, had a fucking commercial that went along with these matches. It's fucking insane. You're paying I mean, think about this, bro. You're paying $30 a month for 5 matches with commercial and ads in the PLE. You know what I mean? Like, how much are you really getting wrestling-wise from the commercials and everything else with only 5 matches per PLE? You know what I mean? It's a salty fucking deal, man. It really is. It's salty. And I'm telling you guys, man, I've been saying this shit now for a while. WWE is all about the mighty dollar. And I understand that it's a business. But the way they're going about this shit, bro, they don't give a flying fuck about the fans. They just don't. They don't. You look at their fucking ticket prices for the sit at these PLEs, bro. For front row, you're looking, Christ, bro. I think the one ticket that I looked at was $3,000 to $4,000. That's for one ticket to sit front row. It's fucking insane. You look at WrestleMania front row tickets, bro. You might as well hang it up. You're spending $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on front row tickets for WrestleMania. That's fucking insane. And knowing how much debt TKO was in, that's why they're trying to max out, bro. They're trying to get whatever they can money-wise, financially, to get them out of debt. And I understand it. You know, obviously no one wants to sit in debt. They want to get the hell out of it. And I get that. But the way they're going about it and the practices and the way that they're doing shit, bro, it's just wow. 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 You bring Brock back for a money grab because people were going to buy his merch and everything else like that. It's a money grab, man. Boost ratings, everything else like that, to bring someone back like Brock Lesnar with all the shit that's going on with Brock behind closed doors. Bad business move. And a lot of people were pissed off that Lesnar walked back through those doors in WWE. A lot of people were pissed, myself included. And then we get to this PLE with Wrestlepalooza, bro, and it fucking failed miserably. Seriously. And then, like I said, ESPN 2 days later puts out this column on their website stating that this event was lackluster at best. That they said that Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre main event could have main evented any SmackDown rather than this PLE. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. They even said the best match on the entire night was Stephanie versus Io for the women's world title. And honestly, I can't necessarily disagree with them. I can't. Brock Lesnar, John Cena ended fucking horribly. It was a glorified 10-minute squash match. That leaves us with us scratching our heads saying, what the fuck's next for John Cena and Brock Lesnar after all this shit? Because there was no storyline leading up to this fucking match. It was, here's the match, here you guys go. This is how it's going to be. And the fucked up part about it is that the way this card was stacked up with these 5 matches, this card should have been incredible. Incredible. And it was fucking lackluster. Absolutely lackluster. You know, you watch the Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre match, bro. I'm going to be honest, man. I might be going on a limb here. I might be on a hill all by myself, and that's fine. But the way that WWE has been treated Drew McIntyre, bro, is fucking horrible. Every time they put this guy into a high-profile matchup or a championship match, he always comes up short. Every fucking time. And if I was somebody like Drew McIntyre, bro, I'd be contemplating a lot with me working in WWE. Absolutely. Because honestly, bro, for what it's worth, I don't think they see value in you. I just don't. You won the championship during the pandemic. There was no live crowd, nothing. Nothing. Nobody even knew what the fuck was going to go on with pro wrestling because of the pandemic, because you couldn't have fans in the audience. They had that bullshit, like, what was it, SmackDown Thunderdome or whatever the hell it was, where they had these live streams from all these different fans that would have to buy in to watch it and all this other shit. It was like a Zoom call for fans to watch pro wrestling. And McIntyre at that time was the world champion. You know what I mean? And after that, I mean, they treated this guy like shit, man. McIntyre has got pushed to the side. If I was McIntyre, bro, I'd be contemplating my career as far as what it pertains to WWE. Absolutely. Because they give you these matches, bro, and they don't see you being the top guy. They drop the ball with McIntyre every fucking time. So yeah, for when it pertains to McIntyre, I feel bad for the guy. I do. And McIntyre at this point, man, it's got to get to a point now where it's like, bro, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here? What the hell am I doing here? If you guys don't see, or if you guys don't want to invest in me as a superstar, or actually give me the opportunity to showcase what I can do and put this company on the map and show my talents to the world and be world champion for this company, then why the fuck am I even here? Because not for nothing, Drew McIntyre is a main eventer, whether you like the guy or not. And the fact that he's not wearing championship gold right now is fucking insane. And look, I respect the hell out of Cody Rhodes. I do. Cody Rhodes is the quarterback of WWE. But is this title run a lot better than his last title run? No, it's not. Even though that was his first title defense against Drew McIntyre, it was lackluster, bro. There really wasn't a whole lot of story going into that Cody Rhodes-Drew McIntyre match. So with ESPN saying, well, it felt like a SmackDown main event, I can't say I disagree with them, bro. Lack of story, lack of build, lack of excitement. And then we get to the match at Wrestlepalooza, and it was fucking lackluster, man. There's no excitement around it. You know, this was something, like I said, bro, I don't know how this relationship's going to play out with ESPN and WWE, but if this shit like this is going to continue to keep happening, ESPN is going to rip WWE a new one, bro. It's just the way it's going to be. ESPN's fucking ruthless. They don't give a shit how you feel. They're going to tell you like it is, and if you don't like it, there's the door, get the fuck out. They don't care, bro. ESPN is ruthless, man. Ruthless. And they're going to tell you like it is, whether you like it or not. That's what they do. That's what they do. You see people like Stephen A. Smith and all that, he always ridicules players, bro. Whether you like the guy or not. That's what they do. So when they put out this column, this release of how they thought about how Wrestlepalooza was presented and how the entire show went, they gave it a C at best. And gave their rebuttal why. Because the show was lackluster. There was no emotion. There was no exciting moments. There was no debuts, no surprises, nothing. All this shit that Triple H pretty much told the world leading up to Wrestlepalooza, oh, it's going to be a shock of the world. There's going to be, great moments and returns or surprises. We didn't get a fucking surprise. We didn't get nothing. Nothing, bro. All they give a shit about being Nick Khan and Triple H and the powers that be at WWE, all they give a fuck about is the money. That's it. And not for nothing, bro, TKO is running this company into the fucking ground. And I know there's going to be some WWE elitists out there, and they know who they are. Oh, man, I can't believe you're saying that. Look at all the business moves they're doing, and all the business moves they're doing, and everything else like that, and they just got the Saudi Arabia deal, and yada, 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 yada. I get it, bro. But what about the wrestling aspect of the show and why we're all here? You're so focused and fixated on trying to get TKO out of debt by signing these ESPN deals and the deal in Saudi to have WrestleMania 43 there and the Royal Rumble and it's $350 million, yada, yada, yada. I get it. And like I said, from a business side of things, yeah, WWE is making moves, some significant moves. But when you take away from the wrestling aspect and the storylines and why we're all here and why WWE is basically getting the money that they're getting, it takes away the aspect from the wrestling. We're not getting storylines. We're not getting something that's compelling enough to get the fans invested. That's why the fans shit on this fucking show. That's why ESPN, who was pretty much the PLE provider for this show, shit on it by giving it a C and saying that it was lackluster. The main event was a glorified SmackDown main event. I mean, you can't disagree with these fucking people, bro. It's the truth. If you're right, you're right. You're wrong, you're wrong. And in this aspect, ESPN is right. This show was lackluster. And I told you guys that I thought that this show was going to surpass All Out. And did it? Hell no, it did not. And I'm not saying that All Out was the greatest either, because trust me when I say this, I got some issues with All Out as well. But this show, the way they had this card stacked up, from top to bottom, with these 5 matches alone, should have surpassed anything that All Out was doing, number one. Should have made anybody working with ESPN and making their debut on ESPN very happy. Clearly, that was not the case. The people at ESPN said the best match of the entire night was Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title. Not AJ Lee and Punk and Rollins and Becky. Not the Usos tag match against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Not Brock Lesnar, John Cena. It was Io and Stephanie. That was the best match of the night for the viewers, I guess, or the representatives for ESPN. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Because those other matches, with all due respect to Io and Stephanie, were some high-profile matches. Lesnar and John. AJ Lee teaming up with CM Punk against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. We got the Usos against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And then we get Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. But they point out it was Io and Stephanie's match that was probably the best match of the night. And to be honest with you, I got to say, I agree with them, bro. Io and Stephanie was a great match. I thought it was a really good match, and I love the outcome of the match. But if ESPN is going to be putting shit out like this after every single PLE, bro, this is going to be some funny funny ass shit for the foreseeable future with this working relationship between ESPN and WWE. Now, I'm telling you guys, man, ESPN is pulling no fucking punches, man. They're going to tell you exactly how you feel and how they feel. Absolutely. I mean, right, not only that, bro, how embarrassing is it right off fucking rip? Your first PLE, ESPN gives you guys a C. You got to be fucking embarrassed as a company for the people that are providing these PLEs to the fans, that you're charging people $30 a month for. You put on this fucking PLE for Wrestlepalooza, and one of your business partners that are providing the PLE to the fans are saying that this show fucking sucked and gave you a C at best and said the show was fucking lackluster. It's fucking hilarious. They should be fucking embarrassed. Embarrassed. They even said the main event of Wrestlepalooza could have main evented any SmackDown on any Friday night. Can't say I disagree with them. Lackluster. Doesn't do shit for Drew McIntyre. Doesn't really do shit for Cody Rhodes. So yeah, I gotta say I agree with them, bro. It's fucking hilarious. That right there should tell you guys that on the basis of WWE, they are more focused and fixated on making money and the business side of things for WWE than rather than wrestling. That pretty much was what brought them to the dance. TKO is killing this company, bro. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys, bro. It is. Because they're so much in debt, they're running this shit like it's the UFC, and it's not. It's not. And the UFC has got their own issues. They got multiple lawsuits coming their way, from what I heard. So, yeah, I mean, bro, the ticket prices are extremely high. And for what it's worth, man, WWE is no longer for the fans. It's just not. They're not for the families anymore, man. I mean, you look at these ticket prices. Families, I mean, you got a family of 3 taking their kids to a WWE event. You're spending, especially front row, oh, bro, you're spending shit, $15,000. Close to it. You do, what, $3,000 a ticket? You got a family of, what, 5? You and your wife, that's $6,000. Then you got 3 kids. That's $9,000. Just for for the kids to have tickets and for the parents to have tickets. That's $12,000-$13,000. Just in tickets, not including merch, not including, food and beverages and everything else like that, bro. You're spending close to $15,000. It's fucking insane. It's insane. A normal family in today's day couldn't go to one of these events and actually enjoy themselves without the parents sweating out financially. Oh, you know what? We can do this event, but we're going to be hurting financially after this. It's fucking crazy, bro. Especially in the time and day that we live in now. It's fucking insane to charge $3,000 for a front row seat at a WWE event. And that's a Raw or a SmackDown. It's fucking insane. You go to WrestleMania, which, again, WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of pro wrestling, bro. It's the biggest show of the year. But you sit front row for a WrestleMania, bro, you're spending $20,000 to $30,000 for a front row ticket almost. It's fucking insane. It's insane. WWE is no longer about the modern family anymore, bro. The blue-collar workers, the blue-collar families out there, the middle class, bro, that shit is gone for WWE. It is. And it's a shame, bro. It honestly is a shame because at the end of the day, I'm sure those parents out there want to take their families and their kids to these events, and they just can't do it because they can't afford it. It's not taking anything away from the family. They're probably working their asses off to pay their bills, trying to give their family the best life they possibly can. But to take their kids that are fans of pro wrestling to one of these events, bro, it would set them back immensely financially. Absolutely. Hell, they would have to save for years to be able to sit and get a decent seat at one of these wrestling events, bro. WWE does not give a shit about families no more, man. They just don't. They're about the mighty dollar. That's it. That is it. Getting the $300 million they're getting from Saudi to have Royal Rumble there and WrestleMania 43, raising ticket prices, everything else. And then on top of that, for the families that can't even go to these events and have a good time, you put on PLEs like we just got for Wrestlepalooza that was complete and utter dog shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you don't give a shit about the families and the fans or the wrestling that you're providing to the fan base. You don't give a shit. You care about generating dollars and making money. That's it. You don't give a fuck about the fans, man. And like the Undertaker announcement for Steph, yeah, I think Stephanie, does she deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's going to be fans out there that's going to shit on the fact that, oh, she's going in the Hall of Fame, bro. For what it's worth, Stephanie McMahon has been in a lot of probably some of the best storylines of all of WWE. Especially during the Attitude Era, absolutely. Stephanie played a vital role in some of the biggest storylines in WWE history. Absolutely. Absolutely. From the matches that she's had, the storylines that she's had, absolutely, she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm happy that they announced that she will be the first entry of next year's Hall of Fame. She very well deserved. How they did it, though, with Taker, look, man, I don't know. And not only that, Taker and how he was talking to Steph, bro, it just looked creepy. It just did. Are you ready? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, to me, it was just kind of weird with Taker coming out and, announcing that Stephanie's going to be in the Hall of Fame. To be honest, Taker just came off weird. But as far as Steph being in the Hall of Fame, bro, I think they could have done a lot of better job of giving her that introduction into the Hall of Fame. Is it well deserved? Absolutely. And for those people out there saying that she doesn't deserve to be in a Hall of Fame, bro, stop watching wrestling. Stop watching wrestling. To be honest with you, because clearly either you are just naive enough to think that she doesn't deserve to be in a Hall of Fame, or you're one of those new wrestling fans that's only been around for like maybe 10 years, that you weren't there for the Attitude Era and all the shit that she's done in professional wrestling. So for those fans out there, bro, you need to stop watching wrestling. Sorry. That woman definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I would even put Shane McMahon in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Vince, I don't know. That's with all the shit that's going on, and we all know what the hell I'm talking about. It's very tough to be like, does Vince deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I can't answer that question. I can't. But does Shane and Steph deserve to be in it? Absolutely. Stephanie deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, without a shadow of a doubt. The shit that she's done in WWE, and like I said, she's been a part of some of the biggest storylines in WWE history. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that decision that was made to put Steph in, a very, very good decision. And it's about time. But like I said, man, with this event, it was just lackluster. It really was. And to be honest with you, with the announcement that happened today, and some of the shit that we got from ESPN as far as them giving a grade of what they thought about Wrestlepalooza, it's an embarrassment. It's embarrassing, and the fact that ESPN put this out, it just shows you how ruthless ESPN is, bro. They don't give a damn. They don't. And for those people out there saying, oh, I can't believe they gave him this rating, bro, like, look what the fuck we got at Wrestlepalooza, bro. Honestly, like, open your fucking eyes and look at the fuck around. Read the fucking room. Honestly. You can't sit here and tell me that the shit that we got at Wrestlepalooza it deserves at least a B or an A. No, bro, the fucking show sucked. We got 5 matches that really didn't mean shit. We got one match that was a glorified squash match with Lesnar and John, which we don't know what the fuck's going to happen now with John. We get the Usos teaming up with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Not for nothing, bro. With all due respect to the Vision and Jay, we've been getting the same shit from both Jay and the Vision or LA Knight for the past few weeks or main eventing Monday Night Raw. The shit's getting fucking old, bro. Okay, you bring in Jimmy Uso, you reunite the Usos. Okay, cool. But how long are we going to get this same shit again every single Monday Night Raw for the next, 3 to 4 weeks leading up to Crown Jewel? This shit's getting old, bro. Every single fucking main event doesn't need to be on Raw. Doesn't need to be the Vision or Jey Uso. It's getting fucking stale. It's getting old. The well's run dry, fellas. That's it. Time to move on and do some fucking other shit. It's getting old. Vastly quick. I'm telling you guys, every single Monday Night Raw main event that we've gotten the past few weeks it's in some kind of capacity. It's either containing Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker, or Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker teaming up against Jay or LA Knight, or LA Knight versus Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker, or Jay versus Breaker, or Jay versus Reed. I mean, the shit's getting fucking old, man. It's getting old. So, for me personally, I didn't give a rat's ass about this match between the Usos and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They were just trying to make it better with incorporating Jimmy into this whole shit with the Vision, and then incorporating LA Knight into this match that was announced earlier in the day that LA Knight will be a special guest referee for this match. No shit. No shit. This shit's getting boring, man. It's getting fucking boring. AJ Lee and CM Punk teamed up. Yeah, it was a good moment. It was AJ Lee's first match back in WWE. I think she held her own. But at the same time, it was just, I don't know, to be honest with you, man. And it's not taking anything away from the matchup, but just, to me, I don't know. To be honest, that's the best way I can put it. I don't know. I think we're going to see more stuff between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. Obviously, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, their feud's far from over. So we're going to see how that plays out. And then we get Stephanie and Io, which I thought was probably the best match of the night, to be honest. And then we get the main event. Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, bro. The match was fucking lackluster, man. It meant nothing. They slapped this fucking match together and say, oh, you know what? This match needs to happen. And there was nothing else. There was no surprise. There was no Dwayne The Rock Johnson coming out and staring down, Cody Rhodes, or there was no Randy Orton heel turn. We got fucking nothing. This match ended clean and it was over. Nothing. So again, where was the shocking moments? Where was the returns? Where was the debut? Where was all this shit that Triple H was talking about leading into this Wrestlepalooza PLE that we got this past weekend? We got none of that shit. So all the shit that you were talking about was a bunch of bullshit. Trying to sell us on some shit that when we get to the PLE, it was fucking garbage. You guys should be embarrassed, man. You should be embarrassed because the shit that you guys put on for this PLE was fucking horrible. And like I said, bro, for those out there that had to spend the $30 a month or spending the $30 to watch this PLE, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. And I legitimately feel bad for you guys that did pay for this because you guys were excited for this pay-per-view and the PLE turned out to be shit. $30 down the fucking drain for a PLE that honestly didn't mean a goddamn thing. You know what I mean? It was a pain in the ass for a lot of people just to try to find this event and try to watch it. Honestly. It was a humongous clusterfuck of bullshit. So a lot of people were pissed. A lot of people were pissed. And I don't blame you guys for being upset. I don't. But I'm going to tell you this right now, bro. If we keep getting the shit that we got like we just did for Wrestlepalooza, ESPN is going to rip WWE a new one. Every single fucking time. Because I'm telling you, bro, they're fucking ruthless over in ESPN. They're going to tell you exactly how they feel. And if your shit ain't stacking up, they're going to let you know. They're going to let you know. This ain't some shit that they're doing with Netflix and Netflix is kissing their ass. No, ESPN, yes, they're working with ESPN, but ESPN's not here to kiss your ass, bro. They want to turn hand over profit and they want quality television. They don't want this shit where we got a Wrestlepalooza. And if we keep getting what we got at Wrestlepalooza, bro, they're going to rip you a new ass every fucking time. They're fucking ruthless in ESPN, bro. They do not give a shit how you feel. They don't. So yeah, it probably rubbed WWE the wrong way this morning when this column came out from ESPN when they gave them a grade on Wrestlepalooza with a C, saying the main event was lackluster and that the Cody Rhodes Drew McIntyre main event for Wrestlepalooza could have main evented any SmackDown rather than this PLE that we got for Wrestlepalooza. Don't blame them. I'm glad somebody at ESPN actually spoke up on this shit and actually said it. But the biggest question from that is where do we go from here now with ESPN and WWE? Because is this going to continue to keep happening? Where WWE's going to put on PLEs for ESPN and then ESPN's going to come back 2 days later and roast the shit out of them every fucking time? That's going to be fucking hilarious. If anything, that should be a wake-up call to Nick Khan, the powers that be at TKO, and Hunter. That should wake your asses up to realize that you guys got embarrassed. And what you guys put together for Wrestlepalooza was a fucking embarrassment. Hands down. I'm thrilled that the fact that ESPN came out with this column and pretty much roasted the piss out of WWE. Absolutely. Because they fucking deserve it. All you guys care about is the mighty fucking dollar. And it's showing. And it's fucking evident. You brought back Lesnar for a money grab. For ratings. The pop ratings and boost ratings and boost ticket prices and everything else like that. Okay. We'll see how long that lasts, considering the fact that your ticket prices right now are astronomically high. So we'll see how long that shit's going to play out. You signed the Saudi deal. $300 million from what I've heard to have Royal Rumble being showcased there and WrestleMania 43. And then you look at the podium when they made this fucking announcement, and some of the talent that was behind Hunter when he made this announcement looked like they were fucking pissed off to the moon. They looked pissed off. You see Bianca, she looked pissed. Liv Morgan, yeah, she's happy. Some of the other talent, like Charlotte, they look pissed off. You know what I mean? And then there's rumors that you're going to be bringing back some legends for that WrestleMania 43 event, bro. Good luck. Good fucking luck. Good luck. And that only reason why you're bringing them back, or they would accept it, is because the fucking payday they're getting. That's it. WWE only cares about the fucking money. And for those out there, well, they got to make money, bro. It's a business. I understand that. I understand it's a business. I'm not that naive enough to not realize that it's not a business. I get it. I'd be the first one to tell you, yeah, WWE at the end of the day is a business. a sports entertainment business. But when you're taking away the one thing that brought you to the opportunities that you guys have now financially, and solidifying these deals, whether it be shows over in Saudi or this ESPN deal or Netflix, you're taking away literally what brought y'all to the fucking dance with the wrestling alone that you're providing us week in and week out, whether it be Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or NXT or whatever have you. When you're taking away from that aspect, there's going to be those people out there that are going to ridicule your asses every single fucking time. And that's why ESPN put that column out today stating that Wrestlepalooza was a C at best, and that the main event was so lackluster that it should have just been a main event for any other SmackDown in the next few weeks. And that the best match was Io Sky taking on Stephanie Vacure, which I'm not taking anything away from that match, but there was 4 other matches on that card, and that was the best match that you guys said that held up throughout the night. That's a huge fucking problem, considering the names that were on this fucking card. It wasn't just a lackadaisical wrestling card. This was Brock Lesnar, John Cena. This was AJ Lee making her in-ring debut after being gone, or return after being gone for over a fucking decade. Saying a lot. It's saying a whole hell of a lot. And it's also saying that ESPN is definitely not happy with how Wrestlepalooza played out. Clearly. And they also were not happy with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre's match. That was one of the main vocal points in that column that was put out from ESPN today. That it was lackluster. Yeah, it was lackluster. I feel bad for Drew McIntyre. If I was Drew McIntyre, I'd finish my contract and fucking walk. Go somewhere else, man. Go to AEW or something. Someplace that they would actually utilize you as a main event caliber talent. Because, yeah, they'll put Drew McIntyre in the main event scene and then they'll ultimately squash him in a bullshit match. And not for nothing, yeah, McIntyre's a main event, but he hasn't been the top guy for WWE since he won the fucking title during the pandemic, when there was no fans to actually celebrate with McIntyre in the goddamn audience. Because they were doing the Thunderdome shit where people were calling in via Zoom call or Skype or whatever the hell it was to watch the pay-per-views and be a part of the Thunderdome audience. They treated McIntyre like shit ever since then. And there's even some people out there, even till this day, that are saying that they miss the old regime when Vince McMahon was running WWE compared to what Nick Khan and Triple H is doing. It's hard to argue that too, to be honest with you. It is. Because at the end of the day, ticket prices would have been lower. It would have been more acceptable for fans and families to go to these events because they can actually afford it. And two, they're not just doing it for a cheap money grab, bro. WWE's money greed and the greed they have right now is ultimately going to be what's killing this fucking company. Honestly. You're selling WrestleMania to, WrestleMania 43 having it over in Saudi Arabia. How many fans do you think is going to actually go over to Saudi Arabia to watch these events, bro? Maybe 5% of fans are going to go over and watch and fly over to watch WrestleMania 43. To be honest. And it's a very selective few people. You're doing it for a money grab, man. That's exactly what you're doing, because TKO is in fucking debt up to their eyeballs. And it shows, bro. Look at the weekly episodic television. I'm not sitting here saying it's as bad as Dynamite. No, I'm not saying that. It's a little bit better from Dynamite, but that's not fucking saying a lot, considering what we're getting for Dynamite Collision every Wednesday and Saturday night. It's not saying a whole hell of a lot at all. WWE should be on the very upper echelon as far as what they're doing week in and week out for the weekly episodic television compared to AEW. Absolutely. With the production, with them working with Netflix, everything else like that, having a decent creative writing team, yeah, we should be getting a lot more stories and better stories than what we've gotten in the past few weeks on WWE programming. Absolutely. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here saying the AJ Lee story wasn't bad. No, it was probably one of the best things going as far as storylines are concerned for Wrestlepalooza. It might have been the only story, honestly, that was actually logical going into Wrestlepalooza, because we didn't really get a story between John and Brock. Really wasn't that much of a story between the Usos, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Not much of a story there. You know what I mean? The only real story that we got that was on Wrestlepalooza that actually meant something was AJ Lee teaming up with CM Punk against Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, because they actually built that story leading into Wrestlepalooza. So that was the only legitimate story we got leading into Wrestlepalooza. Everything else had very to little story going into Wrestlepalooza. You know what I mean? Tell me if I'm wrong, bro. I'm giving it to y'all straight, man. I mean, it's fucking insane. It's absolutely insane. And I'm not sitting here saying that All Out was a hell of a lot better. Oh, no. Oh, no. Mr. Tony Khan needs to realize the difference between quality over quantity. And again, for those people out there saying, oh, well, you're just saying that and you're just complaining about, PLEs being only 5 matches. I don't mind 5 or 6 matches for a PLE as long as it makes logical sense, as long as we're getting storyline leading us into those matches for us to get intrigued by these matches. And I hate saying this or bring it up, but NXT Black and Gold did a perfect job with doing that. You would have Mauro Ranallo on commentary building this match up. He would sell a match like it was sliced bread. That guy can sell a ketchup popsicle with a woman wearing white gloves. I'm not even bullshitting you. The guy can sell a match. So when you're watching these NXT takeovers back in the day, it can be Ciampa, Gargano, Undisputed Era versus who the hell knows. Or, it could be anybody. Andrade, Aleister Black. And he would build these matches up to get the fans invested in these matches on top of the storylines we were getting on NXT television every single week. And those takeovers were not, 13 matches, bro. They were like maybe 5, 6 matches for these takeovers. So about the same of what we're getting now for these PLEs on the main roster. And more fans were intrigued by those matches, invested in those matches, and also invested in those storylines. So again, I'm not against having a 5 or 6 match PLE, as long as the storylines make sense, you get the fans invested in these storylines, and by the time we get to these matches, those fans are fully locked in and want to see how this match is going to develop and how the match is going to end. And that's only from building a fucking storyline leading for us into this match. Without no storyline, these matches mean jack shit. You're just putting matches on just to put matches on. If we wanted that, we'll go to AEW. WWE should be vastly different than AEW because they actually have a creative writing team over in WWE. You guys are just getting fucking lazy and don't want to actually write a decent story for us to get invested for these PLEs. Hence the reason why ESPN gave this whole grade of a C for Wrestlepalooza, which ain't really good coming out the gate. This was ESPN's first WWE's first PLE for ESPN, and right off rip, it's a C at best. And the powers that be over in ESPN are saying that it was lackluster and shitted on the main event, saying that it could have main evented any SmackDown and not just this Wrestlepalooza main event. Saying a lot. It's also saying that the powers that be over in ESPN right now are not really thrilled with how Wrestlepalooza went down this past weekend. But with that being said, this is my review of WWE's Wrestlepalooza.